adequately assisted victims of gender-based violence during the pandemic. This is according to the results of a study by Gender-Based Violence released by a Human Rights Watch. The report has recorded how the lack of government assistance to victims of gender-based violence elevated the crisis for women and girls across Kenya. Calvin Kadalo with the story.
The Kenyan government's response to gender-based violence during the COVID-19 pandemic has been too little, too late, Human Rights Watch said in a report released today. The report, titled "I Had Nowhere to Go: Violence Against Women and Girls During the COVID-19 Pandemic in Kenya," documents how the Kenyan government's failure to ensure services to prevent gender-based violence and provide assistance to survivors under its COVID-19 response measures facilitated an increase in sexual and other violence against women and girls.
The report is about how the Kenyan government failed to plan for and to prevent violence against women and girls during the COVID-19 pandemic. And this failure contributed to an increase in cases of gender-based violence. The report is also about how through this failure, women and girls faced increased levels of harm.
The report says that government programs that provided emergency financial support during the COVID-19 crisis, such as an expanded cash transfer program, did not adequately focus on gender-based violence and had little impact on survivors. Human Rights Watch found that due to corruption and lack of transparency, those most in need did not receive vital COVID-19 cash relief promised by the government. The report has documented instances of members of the community stepping up to fill the gap. One such person is Gladys Kosgei, a community activist in Narok County, who has opened a shelter to host victims of gender-based violence in her community.
Mtoto kama huyu miaka 9 anaharibiwa na babake, tukachitoa kwamba inastahili sisi tutetee haki na kuchitoa kusaidia wasichana wetu. Mtoto huyu ni miaka 9 among wale nimewarescue kwangu.
For the report, survivors and others interviewed described sexual abuse, beatings, being thrown out of the home, forced child marriage, and female genital mutilation. The report found out that most survivors did not report the abuse to authorities, citing a lack of faith, as well as fearing they would be asked to pay bribes. The report says that those who did report the abuse received inadequate responses from law enforcement, inadequate access to health and legal services, and lack of financial wherewithal. Human Rights Watch has urged President Uhuru Kenyatta to implement the plans he has mentioned in past forums to control gender-based violence. At a forum with the United Nations in June, President Uhuru Kenyatta unveiled a roadmap to end gender-based violence by 2026, including dedicating up to 5.5 billion Kenya shillings to gender-based initiatives. Calvin Kodalo, Look Up TV, Nairobi.